You know, when it's a stranger, we make up these stories.
I'm going to tell you a story about perception that has to kind of do with what Sally Prosser was talking about when we interviewed her on episode 54 of the Mad Marketing Moms podcast. It's a great episode. Go and have a listen to it. Anyway, on to the story. A few years back, when I had been on TikTok for about a year, I was starting to get relatively successful. Had quite a few videos that did really well, gained quite a few followers. I started to get asked to be interviewed on a couple podcasts. I got approached by another TikToker to ask me to come onto their podcast. It was the second time I had been asked, and I was just like, sweet, yes. Got to the interview, and they ask if they can show me their sales pipeline before we start the interview. And they show me hundreds of leads that they had received from TikTok, from, a bucket load of lead magnets that they had. And then they asked me how many leads I was getting. And I proudly said 1 to 2. They proceeded to stare at me for a good 2-3 seconds as if I had grown another head, and then said to me, "You could be doing so much better." What they didn't ask me was what my close rate was with those 1 to 2 leads, which was 75 to 80% on average. They never asked me what my business model was, which was I had zero intention of growing into an agency, zero intention of employing anybody, and zero intention of making squillions of dollars. My mission is to help educate and help small business owners navigate through the cyclone that is marketing, because marketing is like herding cats through a thunderstorm. And I never had that help when I first started out helping market small businesses. I had to figure out everything on my own. Thank God for YouTube. I quite simply got lucky of people believing in me and letting me work for them to gain the skills that I had. But also, most importantly, my business is not my livelihood. I have a child. I want to focus on my child because I am not proud of the person that I become when I solely focus on my business or my client's work while my child is around. I also have a partner that has a very demanding job, so a lot of the household management falls on me. I'm okay with that. So there's a lot of other factors that come into play when someone is online. And this individual just did not bother thinking that. They just immediately thought that I was a failure, even though to me, I was successful. I was kicking the goals that I had created for myself. That interview was so uncomfortable. There were some times, from what I remember, my answers were manipulated to adhere more to what they had preferred versus my professional opinion in answer to their question. I, in hindsight, wish I had ended the interview or even stopped it before it began the second that they said, "You could be doing so much better." It actually really affected me quite a bit afterward. So it's so funny when you see that there's a lot of marketers out there that go, "You could be making squillions of dollars in 3 days just by doing X, Y, Z." But there's so much more that happens than what you see happens online. Just remember that before you make an assumption about someone and create a perception of them in your head. Let me know when you realized somebody was very different to what you perceived from their online profile. Comment.